So what I have here are two rough out walnut bowls. Actually the lid here will be, or is, more of a plate than a bowl, but you can see how you can combine two items. You don't have to use these separately if you don't want to, but if you want to combine them, just go through your stash of rough out bowls and just place them on top of each other, and you can see a lot of different ideas can pop up. So what I'll do first, these are roughly 6.5 inches diameter, so I just want to true up the lid diameter first. So I'll just grab with a tenon here, didn't warp too much, so it should be nice and stable. So I'll just quickly true up diameter, so I know the biggest diameter for the lid, as that will be sort of a guidance for the base. This is 12 mil diameter spindle gouge. The lathe is running at 1200 RPM. A little bit more. Okay, and what I'll do is just place a little ridge. Let's see, maybe here. And I'll slightly undercut that with a skew. This needs a little bit more. And actually, while I'm here, I'll just true up the inner diameter, just so I know some of the boundaries here. That's usually how I go about this. At least my brain works the best like that. So I have the maximum diameter that I could get out of this piece. I have a ridge to flip this around, or even I can use this ridge if the jaws will open that wide. But that's for now, at least. For the, actually what I'll do is just turn it around and true up the tenon, so I have it nice and ready for later. Okay, so that's all that it needs. So if I need to grab the tenon or use the recess on the inside, they are nice and true, and nice and true to each other as well, which is important. So now, as I'm looking this, the lid is basically the same diameter as the base here, which is something that I don't want. But I still have to true up the base here. So one more time, this will go on a chuck, just grabbing the foot. Also didn't warp. It did warp slightly this way, but it didn't warp in this dimension. So I'll just true up the rim here. And of course I want to make the outside first. So what I'll do, this is 3/4 inch square inch scraper. Just make this nice and true at the opening, and I'll also put, just in case, somewhere here, a little ridge. So now I can turn this around. I think the jaws should open up that wide. Yes. And as always, true up, remove the glue that was here coated when this was First time green turned or rough turned. I can bring the speed up a little bit. 1400 RPM. Okay, I'll just double check if there is any splits hiding beneath the coated surface, which appears that there is none, which is always great news. So now what I want is nice shape here, and actually what I'll do first is just mark if I'm going with the largest jaws that I have the foot. I need to throw up the bottom a little bit more. Refiner. I think that should be good size. So rough that out. I'll make it nice and straight without dovetail or anything, all the way to the bottom. There is still a little bit more left, but first what I'll do is just make the shape here a little bit better. And it's too tall of a tenon, so we'll reduce it after I cut it nice and cleanly. You can see that's a nice burnish surface. This is 10mm spindle gouge. So I have the foot set up, so what I'll do is just reduce the height of the tenon or the foot. So now it's running at 1600 RPM. It doesn't feel as a good scrape surface. Yeah, that could be better. So what I'll do is just pull the burr with the burnisher again. So nice fresh burr. Feels a little bit better. Yeah, that's okay. So now I can finesse the outside. There is something catching the scraper on the tool rest. Okay, that's looking the bottom portion nice and clean. So what I'll do is just finish up the foot. What I'll do with a 10mm spindle gouge, let's see, maybe to make a little bead here. And the inner circle I'll do with a square and scraper. And just make sure that the bead isn't protruding. That's actually quite close to flat, so I'll just thin it down a little bit. Okay, that should be okay. And take this sharp edge off, and that's it. I'll do the top portion once I turn this over. So that's the bottom finished. It's look quite nice, and we'll turn it around. Grab by the foot, which is the perfect size for these step jaws, the outside, the biggest step, and it won't leave any mark. And it's running nice and true. So now I can see with the lid how much overhang do I have, and it's actually not much. It's only like 2mm all the way around, so I want to increase that a little bit more. So spindle gouge, nice shear cut. Getting a little reverse curve here. Maybe a little bit more. Okay, that's looking quite good. I'll use a shear scraper just to finesse it a little bit. So I'm feeling that the burr isn't, in this case, good. So I'll just hone it with a diamond hone. Much better. And I think I want to blend this. Not sure if you can see a little ridge line here, so just want to finesse these two curves. Okay, that's looking rather nice. Just to see the surface. Yeah, so that's all sandable. I'll actually sand the outside now, and then I'll go all the way in. And now the hollowing. And I won't be putting any ridges for the lid here, because this will be slightly undercut rim. That way the lid, the lip on the lid will nicely fit inside. And just to double check where I am in terms of depth, so I don't go too deep. So that's here. Okay, so I don't have too much in terms of the depth here, so gotta be a little bit careful. Half inch or 12 mil ball gouge. The lamp is in my way. I don't want to make this thin because it does have to remain its sort of structure. A little ridge here. That's as far as I can go with the gouge, and now I'll just use a scraper. So bowl scraper. The transition feels good, just the bottom, the very bottom isn't. So let's see what that did. So the bottom is slightly rougher than the sides here, but the sides is what is more important, because if you have a tear out on this end, you'll take just ages to sand out, and walnut likes to crack as well if you sand it too much. So the bottom will sand out easily. The sides are cut nice and cleanly. So I'll just sand quickly the inside. Okay, so that's done. The base is done. I just blow off the dust. Okay, so that's the base done. You can see the lovely shape. Now there is, since I go with inertia sander on the outside, this is where the jaws were. It's a different sanding texture here, and you can see the little ridge here of different sanding pattern. So what I'll have to do later is just or jam chuck this, or just place on something relatively flat, or just jam it between the centers, just so I can go with the inertia sander one more time and remove these scratches here. But that's for later. So now we can see how the lid looks, and I'm happy with the overhang, so we can mount this on, and we'll first do the inside. Okay, so this is the measurement for the inside, and I hope you can see that in order to get the little ridge, what I'll have to do is bring this down to this level on the inside, and I don't want to do that. I want to keep as much of the height as I can on the lid. So what I'll take actually is outside diameter of the base. So this is the outside. Not the best solution, but it's a solution. So I can bring the speed up a little bit. Again, 1600 RPM, square and scraper. And I just want a little ridge that will stop or actually register to the base. You can see a lot of fine dust that tells me that this area is nicely scraped, which it is, and I should do this as well. Okay, that almost fits. There we go. Now, since this is nicely jammed, what I'll do, I'll use this just to sand this different kind of pattern here. That should be it. So that's taken care of. That's nice and clean now. Quick little fix. So now we need to widen this a little bit more because it's side grain, and you don't want to get this super tight. I've just sharpened the skew, and you can see that's a big difference. Again, I'm getting cloud of dust here. Now, from the past experience, this walnut isn't the most stable walnut on that can be, so you need to allow for a little bit more movement. Now, this is what I would call maybe perfect, but I think this might warp a little bit more. So what I think I'll do, since I have the option of grabbing the foot later and sanding this area down a little bit to make it fit, or I might even do something on the outside to grab so I can widen this if it moves later, so I'll leave it as it is. So now we can focus on the inside. So ball gouge and nice subtle curve. I'll leave this bulk here for the decoration. And small spindle gouge. Make this nice and clean. I think I'm going to leave it as it is, just with the skew. Clean this up. Like so, and here I'll add another step as well. Just so to disguise that it's not one. As you have the one only, then it looks maybe weird. This now looks as a feature, but we actually use one of these steps to expand the jaws, and we can work on the outside. So now I'll quickly sand this, or actually I won't, there is a slight bump here. Bowl scraper, and just lightly. Okay, so now it's clean, and I'll quickly sand. Now I can flip this around. I'll use the same chuck. Now first, before I put it on the bowl and see about design and everything, I want to true it up. So again, spindle gouge. Just take away the rough areas. Still here a little bit. And the surface is, of course, quite rough. So now as I place, I actually pull the camera slightly more out. So as I place the lid now on the base, so I can now see what's happening, what I need to adjust, and what I want is get the bottom here translate, or the base, top of the base, translate here the same diameter at least, or close to it, so that should be around here roughly. So I want to cut that first, and then we'll see the rest. That diameter roughly. So you can see a little bit more I need to take off this flat area here, so maybe another mil and a half, so slightly higher here, and that way I have sort of a connection between the base and the lid. Then I'll do something with this decoration here and the rest here as well. So I think that's done, at this diameter at least. Now I really don't want to go any lower. I've almost made a mistake here. I think I've noticed on time I have a little ridge here on the inside, so this is 5 mil and I don't want to go any thinner than that. So this corner cannot go any further down. So this corner here cannot go any further down because I'll have this little lip fall over, so, or detached. Okay, so I just want to clean it up. Maybe do something with the bottom as well, just to maybe lift it up a little bit. Like this. One more time, super gently, so that's shear scrape, getting this area nice and clean. So now I can focus here on the knob. That should be so the knob will be somewhere around here, and I can rough that out as well. And I'll stop here, take it out and see the thickness. So I think that the thickness is pretty much there, so not much further down that I can go here on the top, here as well. So I'll have to do with the shape that I got here something more pleasing, let's say, and just want to see how it looks on the base. So at the moment it doesn't look right, so you can see huge bulge here. So interesting design opportunity. So I will definitely want to take down this bulge here, this heel, and I think that should make nice curve, maybe even OG. So I definitely need to take this down if I can. So I hope you can see another good a feature, let's say, of leaving that little bulk in the middle, so that way this doesn't sound thin, and also you have a little bit more wood to play with. So like I said, I have 10 mil of wood. That's nice and clean. Now with the refiner, just finesse this curve, actually stop and double check how much wood I have. And you can see how it looks again. I think I most definitely want to remove this lip, so go all the way down. I think that should be much better. Now refiner as a shear scraper. Now just to break this big curve, I would like to put somewhere a little ridge, something like this. That will be ready for the oil. So I'll quickly blow off the dust, sign the bottom, and I'll show you how the oil goes on. I'm using Woodturning oil from Steinert. It's linseed oil and waxes, pretty common ingredients, let's say. So I'll apply the outside of the base here, and I've signed it, and I'll do a separate video on signing, how I sign my work, and the different options that you can go for in a separate video really soon. So let's do the lid as well. Now the lid inside has a lot of these grooves, so I just need to push the oil inside. Make sure you cover everything. What I'll do is just I'll let it soak in for a few minutes. I don't let these soak too much or to wait too long, because this oil can get quite tacky in a short period of time. So I believe due to waxes and other stuff in it. So it's much easier to buff it off if you don't wait too long. So I'll do that off the camera and I'll show you once I've done. And here it is. So lovely walnut, lovely discoloration here, just a lovely color on it. I got this walnut a little over 2 years, and once I rough turn it and everything, that's why the color matches this closely. Usually from walnut to walnut there is some variation. So yeah, really happy. Still a little bit of wiping off to do, but really nice. I'm quite happy with it. And these subtle design, like this slightly upward balcony here, let's say, and then this cove with a little groove here to sort of gives a little depth here, and then this little ridge here just to break this big surface, OG surface. So I think that was a good idea. Again, the inside has a nice flowing curve. You can see a slight OG on the bottom, and the foot here, and the detail with a little bead on the bottom. So really happy with it. Spins nice and freely. Hopefully won't warp too much, so I don't have to clean here or here. Either way, I think it should be okay, but we'll see. So overall, really happy with it, and hopefully you'll try something like this for yourself. So grab a little rough out plate, find a matching bowl like this, and play around. It's really nice and great design opportunity, let's say.